Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org and this is a PHP video tutorial for the new Boston. Now in this video I'm simply going to talk to you about what PHP is, why you should use it, and a little bit of information about what websites do use it. So the first thing about PHP is what it stands for. PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. In fact, the first P is P, so it's PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. That's what it stands for. So we've got a recursive acronym because we have an acronym inside another acronym, because originally PHP stood for Personal Homepage, so it's now been changed to stand for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor, with the PHP inside of that still standing for Personal Homepage. So what is PHP and why should we use it? Well, PHP is a server-side scripting language. Now when you open up a PHP file and you type in the code, it's not available to view by the user of the website. They cannot right click and see your code. So it's not like HTML. With HTML being a markup language, it's interpreted by the browser. Now PHP and the code inside of it is interpreted by the web server and compiled server side, and then the output of the application, if you like, is displayed in HTML if we choose to do so. So it's basically used to create dynamic content on websites. So we're not we're essentially creating a program within a website. So we're being able to do a variety of different things. Now let's head over to the PHP official website, which is php.net. So if you need any more information, I'm just giving you a brief overview here. Go over to php.net and you can read some information about PHP as well as news, etc, etc, etc. So we've got a little description about here about what is PHP, and we've got an introductory tutorial. Now the great thing about PHP is while you're developing, it has a really extensive documentation to it, and this is called the manual. So we've got a link here to the manual, and basically we've got an online manual for lots of different languages, and you can also download the documentation as well. And what the manual will do is we can search in here for, say, function list. For example, we might search for fopen in the functions list, and we see now it returns some information about our function. So we can now go down and look at the different parameters of the arguments it takes, and we can also look at some examples down here. So it's a really, really extensive list you can see of user submitted examples as well. So you can get a really great feel of different functions, not just functions but everything inside PHP from this PHP manual. So what kind of websites use PHP and why do they use it? Well, Facebook, for example, use PHP. What we're doing is with Facebook, it's a social networking website that's storing lots of data in a database. So what we can do with PHP is we can combine PHP with a database system, and we typically do this with MySQL. And certainly in the tutorials that I create, I use MySQL because MySQL is one of the wideliest used and powerful and fastest databases around. So MySQL is great to use with PHP for storing data. So Facebook is one of the social networking websites that takes advantage of PHP as a whole, as it's a really, really nice language to work with. A lot of the syntax and structure is similar to C, and it's actually interpreted by C server side as well. I think it's C or C, yeah, probably C. But you can obviously prove me wrong on that if you'd like. I may be wrong. But yeah, this is a brief overview of PHP. So if you're thinking about getting started in it, follow the tutorials that I've created, and you can begin to start creating dynamic websites, and you'll actually start to realize how easy PHP is, the fundamentals of it anyway. We can start going into sort of the object-oriented programming side of PHP, which is slightly more difficult because some people struggle with object-oriented programming. So we do have the object-oriented programming functionality within PHP, and this was added from PHP version 5, I believe, in about 2004. So we can use object-oriented programming inside PHP as well as recursive not recursive, procedural programming as well, so procedural structure to our code. So that's a brief overview of PHP. It's a really great language to learn, and it's really widely used on the web today, so it's definitely worth it. Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is a PHP video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, if you're just getting started with PHP and want to start developing, you're going to need somewhere to test your code. Now, you may have already purchased paid hosting and you may be able to upload PHP files. Check with your host to see if they allow PHP extensions. 99% of paid and free hosting will allow you to run PHP on the server. It's pretty much a must in most cases for most hosting companies. So what happens if we want to test everything locally on our local computer? It's fair enough us creating a PHP file and uploading it to a server, but we want to quickly develop. We want to develop quickly and easily on our local machine. So what we can do is we can essentially turn our computer into a web server. Now, it's highly unrecommended that you allow people to access this web server, because if it's not properly configured, your php.ini file is not properly configured, or anything else is not configured, you're going to run into trouble. So you're going to have some security issues there. So bear in mind that everything I'm showing you is to set up you're opening another port on your computer. So you're opening up port 80 on your computer, which is going to allow people to access everything that you put into your htdocs folder. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what you should do in order to create or install this mini web server onto your computer. Now, I personally use XAMPP, and the whole thing behind your web server and PHP is that you're going to be using Apache, and then PHP is a module, if you like, on top of Apache, which allows you to compile in the background server side, because PHP is a server side language. It allows you to compile PHP files and run them and display the contents of your actions in the browser. So basically you need something like XAMPP or something like WAMP. I'm showing you WAMP simply because you know, if you're having problems with XAMPP or for any reason you want to use WAMP, but I'm just going to show you that to tell you that it is available. However, I'm going to be dealing with XAMPP and XAMPP default directories, things like that. So if you'd like to follow along with this tutorial, I'm going to be using XAMPP. Otherwise, go and install WAMP and see if you can take anything from this tutorial away with you and apply it to WAMP settings as well. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is obviously come to apachefriends.org, and you're going to come down here and you're going to say XAMPP for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, Solaris, any obviously operating system that you are using. So it's obviously free of charge. We've got little screenshots here, and easy installation, deinstallation, etc, etc, etc. So you can download this for Windows by just simply clicking XAMPP for Windows, and I'm going to be giving you the example here and running through for Windows. So I'm not going to be using Linux, Mac OS or Solaris. I'm going to be using Windows in this case. So once you've clicked the file or click this link, you're going to come down and you're going to say download XAMPP here. So the installation here says method A, installation with the installer or without the installer. We're going to choose XAMPP here, and what that's going to do is we can click on installer. So I'd highly recommend you install it with the installer. We're going to click that and it's going to download, so pretty simple stuff. You're going to open this installation file once it's downloaded. So obviously it's hosted with SourceForge. So you're going to save this file. You're going to wait till that's downloaded. It's 63.2 megabytes as it stands for this version. Once that is downloaded, I'm just going to cancel this because I've already got it installed. So once it is downloaded, what you want to do is you want to run through the installation process. Hopefully you won't get any errors. If you do get any errors, go onto XAMPP and see if you can find any support. Follow the instructions for installation, and once you've installed, we're going to get to the point that I'm going to talk to you now in the video. So if you'd like to pause the video or close whatever, install XAMPP, and we're going to go ahead and test everything. Okay, so hopefully now you have XAMPP installed. I haven't talked to you about what we're going to do next, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to open up something called the XAMPP Control Panel application. Now or the XAMPP Control Panel. Now what this is it's a control panel for your services that are included with XAMPP. I'm not sure what version of XAMPP I'm running at the moment, but it is a slightly older version, so depending on when you've completed the installation, this video was recorded 2011, so depending on when you're viewing this video, your control panel may look a bit different. But nevertheless, control panel is available from your programs menu within Windows. So open this up, and what you want to do is you want to make sure Apache and MySQL are running. For most cases you're going to be using, well, for all cases you're going to be using Apache, but for some tutorials and for database usage you're going to be using MySQL. So make sure that these two are running. If they're not running, they'll look something like this. Yeah, okay, oh, so they're going to look like something like that. And to start them, you're just going to simply click start, and vice versa. If you need to stop them for any reason, just click stop. So now that they're both running, we see here Apache started port 80 and MySQL started port 3306. Now to access Apache and the files that you're going to be creating in PHP, this is pretty simple. With MySQL you're going to be using a web application called PHPMyAdmin, and this is bundled with XAMPP. Now MySQL, for a starter, is a database system. You may have heard of it. If you haven't already heard of it, go to Google, read up about it, see what it's about. You don't need to download it because obviously what we can see here is bundled with XAMPP already. So the first thing we want to do is we want to test if our web server is active. Now you're not going to be typing any domains in here or anything else. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be typing localhost. Okay, so it's just simply localhost. So if we press enter, hopefully you'll get this screen up. So if you have got this screen up, then it's got a little congratulations message. You've successfully installed XAMPP on this server, on this system. So this will mean that XAMPP is installed. Now you can also access it using 127.0.0.1. It's entirely up to you, but I prefer localhost personally, and that's what I'm going to be using throughout my tutorials. Now you'll see at the side here you've got things like status, security, the documentation, PHP info function, which is going to give you information about your PHP installation. I do have a tutorial separate on this, so go ahead and watch that if you want to learn more. You've also got some demos here which we're not going to really be discussing. So now that we've got XAMPP successfully installed, we want to start running our own files. So we want to start creating a PHP file and running this file. So we're going to deal with that in the next part of the tutorial. This one's just about installing XAMPP. Now we need to now have a look at PHPMyAdmin, and what PHPMyAdmin is the administration for your database. There are tutorials that will take you through this, so you just need to know that you can access it via this link down here, and you can see that the address is 127.0.0.1/PHPMyAdmin, or as we looked at before, localhost/PHPMyAdmin. Okay, so that works as well. So hopefully now you've got XAMPP up and running. The next tutorial in the series is going to talk you through how to create your file and where we're going to find the place to put our file to make it accessible through our now local web server. So we're going to be looking at creating a file in the next tutorial and displaying it with the localhost address.